What is good, everyone? What is good? Welcome back to another video. Today, we're jumping back into the Go Battle League arena, this time for the first time into the Great League Remix. Now, if you're not familiar with the Great League Remix, it features Pokemon under 1500 CP, just like the original Great League or Open Great League, but this variant does exclude the top 20 most used Pokemon in the Open Great League, meaning we're not going to be seeing Bastiodon, we're not going to be seeing GLRemix, there are no Medichams, no Noctowls, no Lanturns, no Swamperts, and a whole bunch of other exclusions, which means that there are going to be other Pokemon taking the forefront, taking the limelight in the Great League Remix format, and I am absolutely hyped for it. You also may have heard that there was a specific Pokemon released recently that is breaking the meta, that Pokemon being Carbink. And as you can see, I'm still working on building a Carbink of my own, but today we're building a team to actually counter this new hyper meta Pokemon that snuck its way into the Remix League. And to do that, we're actually running a double normal backline featuring our Pokemon of the day, that being Diggersby. Diggersby is going to be a hard counter to Carbink as it is part ground type and does have access to the moves Mudshot and Earthquake. We're pairing Diggersby with Cresselia to counter any potential fighting types like Machamp, and we have double the GOAT hiding in the back, running Wild Charge to give us some coverage over those flyers that we might be seeing, mainly Pidgeot or Charizard. I'm excited to show you how some of these battles play out. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop straight into the first battle. Hopping into the first one, we have Cresselia on the lead against Shadow Alolan Sandslash. This is a terrible lead for us as the Shadow A-Slash will be running Shadow Claw. We pivot out into our double, the GOAT, making its first appearance, the sheep, but the GOAT making its appearance here. We're running Wild Charge, like we said, on double to be able to hit some of these flyers. Unfortunately, Dragonite is part dragon flying, so it's going to be taking neutral damage. I was actually very surprised that Wild Charge did not OHKO the opponent's Dragonite, but Dragonite able to knock out our double debuffed double. We're going to go for the aggressive Psycho Cut down here. Dragonite, being an extreme glass cannon in the Great League, is going to get Psycho Cut down. Remember, Psycho Cut is a horrendous charge move in terms of damage dealt, but we are able to generate all that energy, pivot out into our Diggersby as the opponent brings in a Shadow Charmer. It's going to be Granbull. Now we throw on tough timing here, but we're trying to get as much damage off as possible, and the opponent has expended both of their shields. We're going to play for the KO here. We can build up a little bit more energy, but we're going to expend our first shield, block the opponent's crunch, and hope that this next Fire Punch is enough to KO. It's very nearly able to, but not quite. We do have to take one more charm, but now we have a Fire Punch ready for the Shadow A-Slash when it comes back in. We can very easily shield up this Ice Punch, throw off this Fire Punch, and this will get the Shadow Alolan Sandslash extremely low, surviving on a singular HP. We get the Mudshot down with the bunny as Diggersby calls game. Well played by the opponent. Thank you for the match. As we do get the raid there, hopping into the next battle, we have a fantastic lead. Scrafty on the lead against our Cresselia. Now, our backline is pretty weak to Scrafty. We're going to be taking super effective damage because we do have the ABB line with the two normals in the back. So we do obviously want to stay in here. We're going to be taking the damage from that foul play, firing off this Moonblast. The opponent expends one shield here. I'm thinking I might be able to outpace them, and we are able to outpace to the next Moonblast. Will the opponent respect the back-to-backs? No, they do not, as Moonblast KOs the opponent's Scrafty. They come in with a Mud Boy. This Whiscash is not going to be appreciating our Grass Knot. I know that I can grab the opponent's final shield here, or very nearly one-shot them with this Grass Knot. So I'm going to expend one shield, grab the opponent's final shield. Will I be able to outpace them? No, I will not. We go for the catch on the next Mud Bomb, and we get it onto our Diggersby. Unfortunately, ground does not resist ground, but we do tank all of that energy onto our Cresselia, or we do save that energy on our Cresselia, meaning we have very nearly one grass knot saved for later. As the opponent brings in a goat of their own, full sends the payback into our bunny. It does pretty respectable damage, especially provided our bunny is pretty thick. The opponent making it to another charge move. This is just going to be the body slam, but we're going to let it go. And from here, I'm thinking, okay, what's our win con? We're not going to be able to cycle cut down, but we can bring in double of our own, go for the aggressive farm down, expend our final shield here, because I think this body slam might be the hardest hitting move left in the game. We're now at the back-to-back body slams. This will be putting massive pressure on the opponent's Whiscash. Whiscash now fully shields down, has nothing to defend itself with, going to be taking these body slams on the chin, and it's not taking them well, as those body slams are adding up and adding up quickly. The GOAT getting to a third body slam, able to KO the opponent's Whiscash as Double calls game. Well played by the opponent. Double too strong. Thank you for the match. After going through a couple Great League rotations and even a Ultra League rotation, I've seen that, or I've learned about myself, that Double is probably my top 2 or 3 favorite Pokemon to use in the Go Battle League. As we hop into the next battle, we have Dunsparce on the lead against our Cresselia. Now, this is one of my earlier battles, but I played this out poorly for the specific reason of when you're running the ABB type lines, you need to swap out at some point, not allow your lead to get too low unless the Pokemon you encounter is a hard counter to your backline, right? What am I trying to say here? Well, my back 2 Pokemon don't mind being aligned against the opponent's Dunsparce, meaning that we should be pivoting out into one of the normal types and preserving the health and energy on our Cresselia, just in case we do encounter something that counters our backline, like a counter user. We're going to pivot out immediately into our Diggersby here, and the opponent bringing in their Jellicent. This could be a little bit problematic, as I did immediately pivot out into the Diggersby. Hindsight being 2020, I wish I would have clicked double. That would have been much more advantageous for us. But like this, we're able to grab the opponent's shield. They do choose to block the energy from our Earthquake. Will we respect the Surf? No, we will not, as the Surfs, 2 Surfs plus the corresponding bubble damage will be enough to KO the Diggersby. We're going to bring in double here because our Cresselia is extremely low. We're going to expend our first shield on the Surf, build up a massive amount of energy. We have now built up past the potential payback. We're very nearly at the back-to-back wild charges. We're going to full send the wild charge. It gets the opponent extremely low. And from here, I'm thinking I can expend 1 shield and maybe 1 body slam will be enough. What's our play here? We're going to bank the energy, tank this onto our Cresselia, allow the Cresselia to go down. As we went for the catch, weren't able to get it, but that's okay. And the opponent pivots into their Machamp. So this is what we were talking about. Here, this is obviously not a great matchup for double. We grab the opponent's final shield though, fire off this wild charge. How much damage will this do? It very nearly one-shots the opponent, but no, Machamp able to reach a cross chop, which will be KOing our double as Machamp calls game. Well played by the opponent. Thank you for the match. So remember, once again, when you are running the ABB lines, if you don't win the lead, you need to pivot out into one of your back 2 Pokemon to draw out any potential hard counters so that your other Pokemon in the back, your sweeper, will have an easier time end game. But like this, we're going to hop into the next battle. We had Golbat on the lead against our Cresselia. We pivoted out immediately, and the opponent actually pivoted out as well. I have seen a decent amount of chatter about Future Sight Cresselia, so that may have been their play there. They may also be running some type of double poison line. They immediately pivoted out into their Quagsire. We're able to get the Quagsire extremely low with our Diggersby, but they survive on a singular HP, the blessings of their ancestors, and we also survive on a single pixel. Where is our health bar? I cannot see it, as the opponent does bring back in their Golbat, able to KO us with a single wing attack, but Diggersby has successfully won switch for us. The opponent not building up to the potential Shadow Ball, there's really no meaning or no point to it, as we are running this normal type goat, meaning they can immediately fire off those poison fangs, deal the debuffs onto our goat without having to stress too much about it. We build up a decent amount of energy, get to the body slam, fire off the body slam. We're going to expend one shield here just to make sure we survive. The opponent knows we can't be at the payback. Do they expect the wild charge though? As wild charge, bang, one-shots the opponent's Golbat, and that seals the deal for us. The opponent still has one shield, but so do we. However, we're going to be able to deal massive double super effective damage with this grass knot, and you see how much damage that does to the opponent's Mudboy. Just an insane amount of non-stab damage from our Cresselia. Opponent going to fight the good fight here, choosing to not delay the inevitable, as they will be firing off another charge move. This is just the Mud Bomb. I'm going to shield it up out of respect for them, but we do get the Psycho Cut down and call game. Well played by the opponent. Thank you for the match. Hopping into the next battle, we have another good lead. We have Diggersby on the lead against our Cresselia. Opponent staying in here. Now remember, this is a really good lead for us, so we are going to stay in, potentially grab the opponent's shield as they do reach the Earthquake. We see how much damage that does, around 30%, maybe a little bit more, as the opponent will have to respect this grass knot, but they choose not to, taking that damage. And Diggersby is an absolute tank, as our Cresselia is now at 50% HP, but this next grass knot will be getting the opponent extremely low. Now we do eventually pivot out into our Diggersby because we do, like we said, want to preserve that Cresselia for whatever they have in the back if it's a potential fighter, but we are able to draw out the opponent's Golbat. This isn't terrible for us, as we will be resisting all of the Golbat's charge moves. So Poison Fang going to be resisted by our ground typing, as well as the Shadow Ball going to be resisted by our normal typing. Meanwhile, we can deal neutral damage, albeit not that significant of damage, although it will add up with our Fire Punches. Diggersby throwing consecutive Fire Punches. This is just a farm fest, as these Fire Punches are starting to take their toll on the opponent's Golbat. This is fine for us, as we can allow the opponent to throw this Fire Punch, and I'm thinking, what's our play here? I actually want them to take me out here so that we can get a couple of double kicks worth of energy onto our double. Double able to come in, get 3 double kicks worth of energy, fully farm down the opponent's bunny as they do pivot back into their Golbat. This is just going to be the Poison Fang, and I can easily clear our debuff here by swapping back into the Cresselia. I'm not going to sweat it too much. I'm able to fire off this Body Slam, KO the opponent's Golbat, and draw out the final Pokemon, and I'm completely selling here. I see the flying type, I throw the Wild Charge, and right after I press the Wild Charge button, I'm thinking, why would I press that? As the Wild Charge will deal single resisted damage to the opponent's ground flying type, as the Body Slam would have done more energy and would have allowed us to preserve more energy as well. We're going to expend a shield here, block the opponent's Night Slash to either grab their last shield or deal heavy neutral damage with our Moonblast. The problem is we're going to get fully farmed down, not able to reach the next Grass Knot, as the opponent now we'll have to deal back-to-back Night Slashes to KO us. Here's the first Night Slash. We do still have one shield. We know we can block this next one. Do they have the back-to-backs here? We're going to have to find out. I'm thinking if I would have thrown the Body Slam earlier, we would have more energy. They would have less health. First Body Slam gets shielded. Second Body Slam does not go through, as the opponent is able to outpace us and calls game. Capitalizing on our misplays, that is a painful one, as we fully sold that game, but well played by the opponent. Thank you for the match. Hopping into the next battle, we have a tough lead of Jellicent on the lead against our Cresselia. Now, Cresselia is able to deal super effective damage with the Grass Knots, but we're going to go for the Shadow Ball catch onto our normal type Pokemon, and we are able to catch the Shadow Ball. Problem is, it would have been much more advantageous for us to catch onto the double, and now I'm realizing our Pokemon should be aligned differently on the side panel. Double should be in the safe swap position. Diggersby should be in the closer position, as this would have been a much better battle for us with double in instead of our Diggersby, but like this, we're able to land an Earthquake, and we will be able to land this next Fire Punch as the opponent will not be shielding, and they are now relatively low. They're in the critical health range, meaning we can allow our Diggersby to go down, but no, we actually survive. And the opponent, wanting to preserve the health on their Jellicent, fearful of the next Fire Punch, will have to dump all of their energy into the bunny to KO us. Like this, I can bring back in the Cresselia, farm up a massive amount of energy. We throw on bad timing, but I don't want to play for the CMP tie here. Able to KO the opponent's Jellicent with a Grass Knot as the opponent brings in their next Pokemon, and it will be the Mandibuzz. This is looking very good for us as Mandibuzz will not be appreciating these Moonblasts, although they will be able to deal super effective foul play damage onto our Cresselia. Mandibuzz, being the tank that it is, does not hit relatively hard, so we're not too stressed about this. Mind you, we do still have 2 shields, so we will have to utilize them eventually, but we're going to pivot into our double and able to draw out the opponent's Clefable. Clefable has built up enough energy for the Moonblast here. Will they be full sending? No, it's just the Meteor Mash, but regardless, we're going to expend our first shield. I've been saving these shields all game. It's about time I start putting them to use as the opponent now has 1 shield to our 1 shield. Double now at the back-to-back body slams once again. This thing charges energy so quickly. We go for another double kick. Was that a misplay? Not too sure, as I'll take the energy on double. We luckily did not play for the CMP tie, knowing that Clefable would be winning that tie, as we will be able to KO the opponent's Clefable here with another body slam. We're going to full send the Wild Charge. Will the opponent expect it, or do they just expect the body slam? Bang! Wild Charge deals heavy or super effective damage onto the opponent's flyer. They were definitely not expecting it, as we can bring back in our Cresselia with the double being 2 times debuffed in its defense. Cresselia gets the double resisted Cycle Cut down and calls game. Well played by the opponent. Thank you for the match. They had quite the spicy line there, but they were not expecting the Wild Charge on the GOAT. It always gets them by surprise. As we hop into the next battle, we have Lickitung on the lead against our Cresselia. This is a terrible lead for us, as Lickitung will be dealing super effective lick damage, and like this, we're going to pivot into one of our 2 normal Pokemon. Lickitung is able to deal super effective Power Whip damage onto us, but its non-stab Diggersby, being extremely tanky, does not deal a massive amount of damage to us. We're not too worried about it, as they do eventually pivot into their Dugong. Dugong has not fired off a move yet. We're going to be firing off 2 Earthquakes into the opponent. Are they going for the aggressive farm down? I'm not too sure. I'm not going to chance it. I'm going to take the chip damage where I can, as this Fire Punch will be getting the opponent pretty low. They're very near the critical health range, as they will be put in the critical health range with this next Fire Punch, as Diggersby is an absolute tank, able to get the Dugong extremely low. Mind you, Dugong did not throw a move, so they are at 100 energy, but we can easily bring in our Cresselia, tank all of this damage from the opponent's Dugong, as we're not too stressed about this damage. Cresselia is an absolute tank, and Dugong, when hitting for neutral damage, does not deal that much damage. Nothing to sweat over here, as we are going for the full debuffed Cycle Cut down, and we are able to get there. Opponent brings back in their Lickitung, and we immediately swapped into our double against this Lickitung. This is going to be a good matchup for us, as we are able to generate energy much more quickly and deal super effective double kick damage with our fast move. Opponent reaches their first charge move, and it's going to be the Power Whip. Now, in those instances, when it's neutral damage, you should definitely be throwing the body slams, as it stab, does more, and it has better DPE. But like this, the opponent going to be pivoting out into their Charizard. Will they be expecting this Wild Charge? Doesn't really matter, as they expend their final shield, block the energy from our first Wild Charge, but this next one is going to easily be able to bang, one-shot the opponent's Charizard. See you later, Charizard. We will not miss you, respectfully, as we do greet the Lickitung that comes back in with a Moonblast. Moonblast to the face gets the Lickitung in the critical health range, and they choose to not delay the inevitable, as Cresselia calls game with the assist by the GOAT. Well played by the opponent, and thank you for the match. And thank you to all of my opponents today, as we unfortunately did not run into any Carbinks today, but we're still able to utilize our ABB normal team to a respectable amount of success here, as we were able to climb into the 2600s with this team. And remember, with the fun battles on this channel, you also get your fair share of misplays and mishandling some teams. So just be mindful that when you are running an ABB line, you should be pivoting out of that lead matchup if it is not a winning matchup for you sooner rather than later, right? You want to draw out anything that might counter your back two Pokemon by pivoting into one of those two, which clears the way for the other Pokemon that you have in the back to sweep endgame. Thank you so much for making it this far in the video, though. Please leave me a comment down below letting me know how Great League is going for you. Are you running Great League? Are you running the Remix Cup? What team are you running? How are you enjoying it? But that's going to be all from me. Thank you so much for stopping by. Remember to enjoy the small things. Peace.